What's happening, everybody? Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning into Loud Majority Live. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. The Biden auto pen scandal is getting hotter and hotter, as James Comer says, that the auto pen pardons ought be null and void. And I would have to agree with him. A staffer does not have the ability to pardon random people in the government for absolutely no reason. Also, 10,000 people are expected in Oxford, Mississippi tonight at the Turning Point USA event featuring J.D. Vance and Erica Kirk, her first time being out in public, I believe, or first time speaking in public at least, since the death of Charlie Kirk just a couple of months ago. We got more breaking news on the government shutdown. It turns out, guys, I've got some troubling news. Refugees from Iraq will have to leave America if they don't get their SNAP benefits. Boy, that's a shame. That's a real shame. And an absolutely horrifying story out of London. A horrifying story out of London, as an Afghan refugee for what seems like no reason at all, stabbed one person to death and then stabbed two more people. A woman called into British television actually broke down crying because she is afraid for her children walking around Britain. When will this stop? When will people understand that you cannot just import the totality of the third world and expect things to get better? When will they get it? I don't know. I do not know. Also, little note, 300 people have been charged. 100 people have been charged with assaulting federal agents, which was the point of sending them there in the first place. We'll get into all of that. Before we get started, though, guys, do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We are rocking. We are rolling. Let's get this live chant up onto the screen. Shout out to everybody. How is it going? New Jersey. I'll be back out in New Jersey this weekend. Giddy up. Let's go. We got some good stuff happening out in Tom's River. Jack Posobiec will be out there. I'm sure Crispy will be there. We will be there with the gang, rallying everybody for Jack Chittarelli. If you haven't gotten out and voted in New York or in New Jersey, get off the couch. Don't turn the show off, but bring the show to the polling place with you and go vote. Get it done early so that you can assist in getting more people to the polls. If you wait till Election Day, you cannot help everybody else. I will pull it up, Kit Kat. Let me see. Can I pull it up real quick? Let's see. Boom, Jack. Let me pull up the flyer real quick just for you, Kit Kat. Let's see. What do we got here? Where is it? Bum ba beep bum 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 bum. Where the hell is it? I had it, now it's gone. I'll get it by the end of the show. Let's see. Do I have it here? Nope, can't find it. I'll find it at some point, though. Before the end of the show. Guys, do me a favor. Hit the thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place, wherever it is you may be watching from. Before we get started, guys, do me a favor and head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. That is the best way to support this show and everything we've got going on over here. Obviously, traveling all over the country is not cheap, and I can't do it without your guys' help. If you've gotten everything you want from the store, consider becoming a monthly donor over here at the Loud Majority. We really do appreciate all the support you guys continue to give. Once again, loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Look at all this good stuff, guys. Get your Christmas gifts early. What in the sweet hell are you waiting for? Oh, also, look at this. We've got Loud Majority Coffee now. Check that out. We got a little Kofifi for you guys. You guys can sign up for that and become a... You guys can sign up to get monthly coffee delivered to your house. Go to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Oh, yeah. So let's dive right on in. 10,000 people are expected in Oxford, Mississippi tonight at the Turning Point USA event with J.D. Vance and Erica Kirk. The lines are out the door, and apparently it's pouring outside, and people are still showing up. Here it was. Let's see, do I have it here? Here is Fox News.
All right now in Oxford, Mississippi, a cold rain isn't stopping the crowds from forming hours before tonight's Turning Point USA event, where Vice President J.D. Vance will join Erica Kirk on stage. Turning Point's Ole Miss chapter president Leslie Lockman is standing by. But first, let's get to our correspondent, Madison Scarpino, who is live in Oxford for us. Hi, Madison.
Hey, Sandra. Doors don't open for these attendees for another nearly 2 hours, but ever since this line started forming at around 11 a.m. local time, you can't see the end. There is expected to be around 10,000 people here tonight. Most people we've talked to are Ole Miss students, of course, but there are also high school students here, parents, local politicians, and they're all fired up. They say they want to keep Charlie Kirk's legacy alive, and they say they're especially honored that this is his wife, Erica Kirk's only scheduled campus tour stop.
I think she is a very strong, resilient woman, and I really look up to her. We are honestly so truly honored that she decided to come to Ole Miss. Ole Miss has such a big community, and we really showed out. And I really think that this was the best place she could have come.
These students tell me they're also thrilled to hear from Vice President J.D. Vance. The plan is for Erica Kirk to introduce the VP. He says there will be a quick speech, and as mentioned, he then plans to answer questions and have an open dialogue, just like Charlie did.
I think that engagement is something that was such a big part of Charlie's legacy. It's not just that he went and talked to people or talked about issues that he cared about. It's that he actually interacted with people, and he answered questions. Sometimes, as you know, he answered tough questions, and so I want to do that too.
It's all set to start in just a few hours, but Sandra, you can really feel the energy in the air. These people are very excited. Back to you.
Well, we've been seeing the line all day, all morning. Madison, thank you. John?
All right, Leslie Lockman is the Turning Point USA chapter president at Ole Miss and will be introducing Erica Kirk tonight. She joins us now. Leslie, thanks for being with us. This is going to be a very special evening because this will be Erica's first and only appearance on this college tour. What are you expecting this evening?
We are so beyond thrilled that they chose Ole Miss. It's an American-loving college, and we're seeing red, white, and blue from you saw just now in that clip. People lined up for hours in the rain. We're excited. The energy has been electric, and we can't wait to see this event happen.
You know, how would you describe, we've heard about the energy that has come following Charlie Kirk's assassination. How would you describe that, what you're seeing?
People came together in prayer and vigil. They want to be more involved with the campus now more than ever. I think this really motivated people to see that I am an advocate for the conservative party, and now I want to talk about it. It was the buzz on campus. It's been the buzz ever since. It was a devastating tragedy, but honestly, this really is the turning point. People want to get involved now more than ever.
You know, what will be really interesting about this evening is that the vice president is going to be there, and in the fashion of Charlie Kirk, he's going to give brief remarks and then take a lot of questions from people who come to see him and Erica tonight. What do you expect people are going to want to know from the vice president?
I think they're going to want to know about the future, what happens post Charlie Kirk. This whole organization was run by him, but really the party is up in the air for what they're going to do. They named Erica Kirk as president, but really, what are they going to do with the organization, and how are we going to move forward as a conservative party without a figure that was so dominant in the conservative field?
Well, the way you do it is by keeping his legacy alive, and the way you keep his legacy alive is by never stopping, is by always getting involved, is by being part of the process. No matter where you live, no matter what you're doing, there is a way for you to get involved, to support the sort of values that someone like Charlie advocated for his entire life. That's how you keep his memory alive. So it is exciting to see. Moreover, I'm really liking the fact that, you know, so many people tried to say that nothing's going to change, you know, post his death. And, you know, I've seen so many of my friends, influencer types, whatever you want to call, whatever the hell it is we're doing out here. You know, I hate the word influencer, by the way. I absolutely hate it. When people call me that, I get I want to throw up. It's gross. But to see so many people getting involved politically, there's a lot of people who for a long time did a lot of talking online, but not a lot of getting up and getting active. That's really starting to change. And it's good to see. It's good to see, obviously, with elections coming up this year, big midterms coming up in 2026. It's good to see all my friends getting out, getting active, and getting more involved. And I think you guys should, too. If you're looking to get involved in your local area, please do reach out to me. I will find you a way for you to get involved with an America First candidate, with somebody really looking to make a change and to get involved. So 10,000 people out in Oxford, Mississippi tonight. It's going to be absolutely spectacular. I cannot wait to watch it. More good news coming out. The feds have arrested and charged more than 100 people with anti-ICE violence in the city of Los Angeles alone. And look, when it comes to the idea of having federal troops on the ground in major American cities, I got to be honest with you, I'm not totally thrilled about the idea. I do believe in the idea of federalism and states' rights versus the federal government. But if local law enforcement is not going to protect federal buildings, if they're not going to allow the feds to carry out their job, then these are the sorts of things that have to happen. And when they happen, in a lot of these places, particularly on the West Coast and here in my beloved New York, many of these people have been able to operate with impunity, with absolutely no even worry that something negative was going to happen to them. They knew that they were going to be let out. They knew that if they attacked federal officers, nothing would happen, because the local PD wouldn't do anything about it. We've seen the way police have been treated over the last several years in this country, getting spat on, getting things thrown at them. But now that there is a surge of federal troops involved, people are going to do serious time for these sorts of things, because it's not in the hands of local prosecutors. It's not in the hands of these woke DAs. Here was the U.S. Attorney for California.
In response to recent immigration enforcement actions in Los Angeles. To date, we have charged 97 individuals either with assault or impeding of federal agents engaged in immigration enforcement operations, and we will continue to charge more as we obtain the evidence. Earlier this summer, federal agents engaged in law enforcement operations targeted at removing illegal immigrants who entered the United States unlawfully. In response, large protests began to form throughout the Los Angeles area. I want to be very clear. Every American has a right to peacefully protest. What is not constitutionally protected is a right to engage in violence or to impede federal agents by assaulting, doxing, or obstructing their operations. On July 10th, law enforcement officers were executing a court-ordered search warrant at locations in Ventura County. Protesters, including members of an organization named VC Defensa, came to the site of the search warrants. VC Defensa is an organization that operates and manages what they call a rapid response network designed to impede federal agents and their enforcement operations. And that warrant is what you see on the camera there at the marijuana farm where the agents were attempting to leave. In one of the criminal complaints today, we are charging 2 members of VC Defensa for conspiring to impede and injure federal law enforcement officers. These 2 VC Defensa members went to the protests on July 10th in Ventura County and acted with others to assault enforcement vehicles and officers. One of the members charged in the complaint used her vehicle to block U.S. government vehicles from leaving the location, while another member and others ambushed the vehicles by throwing rocks at them, and those images went viral. Several government vehicles were damaged, and a federal contract employee was injured as a rock went through her vehicle window, shattering the glass and striking her. And you're going to hear more about that case here shortly. Separately, in another incident that you also see on the TV here, on June 8th in downtown Los Angeles Civic Center, a group of agitators used the protests as an excuse to throw rocks, bottles, and other objects at officers, injuring several of them. Government and private property were vandalized. Los Angeles police declared an unlawful assembly, yet the violence continued. 9 of the defendants charged in that second criminal complaint were filmed on cell phones by local news and other media, throwing rocks, bottles, and objects, including objects on fire from an overpass on Main and Los Angeles Street here in downtown LA onto the CHP officers and their vehicles. 2 defendants charged in today's complaint were recorded lighting debris on fire and throwing it at CHP vehicles, pouring what appeared to be flammable liquid, which increased the size of the flames. The officers and vehicles were on the freeway after removing demonstrators who had marched onto the freeway to block traffic lanes. During the mayhem, one CHP vehicle was set ablaze. Officers were trapped while an angry mob threw debris at them from above. 9 individuals in that mob are charged with obstructing, impeding, and interfering with law enforcement during a civil disorder. That is a felony, a federal felony that carries a statutory maximum sentence of 5 years in federal prison. Lastly, federal agents today also arrested Giovanni Canil, a Boyle Heights resident who pepper sprayed a vehicle while the FBI SWAT officers were inside of it. Those officers were at a scene of a search warrant execution at Ambiance Apparel, a business.
And you know what? We need more of that. We absolutely need more of that. If local PD is not going to do their job for whatever reason, if they're impeded by police commissioners or if they're impeded by mayors, they need to charge them federally and take it out of the local hands. And I'm happy to see that these sorts of things are happening. I really am, because guess what? And you guys all remember the scenes, we showed it on this show, of people throwing things from down on top of the overpass, on top of federal vehicles, and we all sat aghast. Couldn't believe that these sorts of things were being allowed to happen in the United States of America. But the fact remains, there are many out there who agree with these sorts of tactics, that agree with the violence, that seem to try to do the both sides crap. Oh, well, both sides are violent, so hey, what the hell can you do? Of course, we know that's not the case because, we're the only ones being shot in front of our families, i.e. Charlie Kirk. We're the only ones being assaulted on the streets, the normal, hardworking Americans out there who just want law and order. We're the only ones seeing that, while left-wing agitators are being allowed to roam free. And here's another thing that's important to understand. When you start arresting these people and they start to face actual consequences for what they're doing, they're gonna freak out. None of these people can do serious time. You think any of the brave people out there, the Antifa militants, are gonna do very well in a federal prison? Not a chance. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna sing like a bird. They're going to sing like a bird. And that is how you take down these gigantic organizations. It doesn't matter whether it's Antifa or the Mafia. Any giant organization like this, you start picking off the street soldiers, and then you get the ones at the top. It's not rocket science. They just have to do the work. They just have to do the work. And finally, someone is coming in and letting it happen. Finally, people are coming in and arresting these people for breaking the law. Unfortunately, not all of that can be said for all over the Western world. And in just a second, we're going to talk about our friends across the pond in England, as an absolutely horrific story is breaking in London. I'm not going to show you the videos. They do exist. You can find them online. Of an Afghani migrant just, stabbing a guy walking down the street while he's walking his dog. Guy did nothing to him. No big deal. Nobody cares. And then a very, very sad cry of a woman on British television. We'll get to that in 1 second. Before we do that, here's Jeremy.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, it's that time of year again, isn't it? My favorite time of year.
fall. Oh, I love the leaves. I love the autumn smell. I love the pumpkins. I love it all right before the snow flies. But what I don't love that comes with the cold weather and the fall weather is the flu, are the sniffles, the cold. All those common cold sniffles that you get every year. And if you have kids in the house, little kids going to and fro school, and they're coming back and they're touching everything and they're bringing the bacteria and all those viruses home from school, you don't want anything to do with that. You want to be proactive rather than reactive. That's why we're going to talk about propolis today. You know what propolis is? Well, ladies and gentlemen, propolis is what works as a barrier to keep the beehive absolutely safe. And what am I talking about? Well, Beekeepers Naturals. Now, my wife really turned me on to this. This is an endorsement of my wife and then myself as well. Beekeepers Naturals, folks, that is exactly what this is. This is a proactive rather than a reactive, all natural, all clean alternative to big food and big pharma. You've got your Beekeepers vitamin C packs, which are perfect for on the go, right? You've got your Beekeepers Propolis nasal spray. A few shots up the nose, clears out your nostrils, cleans any congestion that you have, and it's all natural, and it's going to work as a proactive barrier to any of that unwanted bacteria getting in. How about the Beekeepers All Natural Propolis Immune Throat Spray? 3 or 4 pumps of that a day, and anything that you're breathing in is going to be either repelled or killed right away. That's the amazing thing about propolis, and that is the amazing thing about Beekeepers Naturals. And I got a 20% discount for you. What's better than that? 20% discount. Look, you can even get the throat soothing pops and the kids prebiotic fiber pops along with the throat spray, along with the nasal spray, along with the vitamin C packs. Folks, they've got it all, and it's an all-natural, clean, beautiful option for you to have in order to, get away from the big food, get away from the big pharma, and go more natural, especially with a 20% discount. How can you not go to Beekeepers Naturals today /LFA and get your 20% discount? Clean out your medicine cabinet today with beekeepers.com /LFA. And now back to the show. So an absolutely tragic story coming out of London right now. Or really, the people of the UK have absolutely had enough with their government not doing anything to protect them. Well, here's the story, and I'm going to screw up the names of this, so just, so be it. A man has been charged after a triple stabbing in West London as the murder victim has been named. Safi Dawood has been charged with 1 count of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder and possession of an offensive weapon after Monday's incident in Uxbridge. Safi Dawood, 22, has been charged, we said, with an offensive weapon on Monday, the Crown Prosecution Service said. Dawood appeared at the Westminster Magistrates Court on Thursday. Police and paramedics were called to the stabbing in Midhurst Gardens at about 5 p.m. A 49-year-old man was treated for stab wounds at the scene, but died at the scene from his injuries, the Metropolitan Police said in a statement. Another man, 45, suffered life-changing injuries and was treated at the hospital. A 14-year-old boy was also hurt in the stabbing, but has since been discharged from the hospital. Police say his injuries were neither life-threatening nor life-changing, whatever the hell that means. I don't know what the hell a life-changing injury is. Dawood, an Afghan national, entered the UK on a lorry, I think that's a truck, in 2020 before claiming asylum, which he was granted in 2022, the Home Office said. He was not known to Mr. Broadhurst. I guess that's the Home Secretary, but was known to the other two. Oh, no, that's one of the victims. Excuse me. He was not known to Mr. Broadhurst, but was known to the other 2 victims, the force said. Dawood of Midhurst Gardens needed hospital treatment after suffering a medical episode and was later returned to police custody where he remains. This Afghan refugee decided to go on a stabbing spree throughout London. A guy who had no right to be in the country in the first place decided he was going to stab 3 residents. Of course, the chief crown prosecutor called it a shocking incident, but you shouldn't be shocked by it. These sorts of things have been happening all over the UK and all over Europe. And this woman called in to British television with just, this woman is broken. She is absolutely broken as she cries on television, begging her government to do something about these people, begging her government for help. And I know that her cries will go unanswered. I know they will. Because Keir Starmer is useless. Just like many of the left-wing radicals in this country who would import the totality of the third world and then be shocked and surprised when the fabric of a nation deteriorates. Here's what I want you to understand. This is how you radicalize normal people into doing things they would otherwise not do. This is not a political person. This is not, I'm trying to think of my friends in the UK. This is not Constantine Kissin. This is not Tommy Robinson. This is not Nigel Farage. This is just some lady calling in to British television. Listen to this.
Oh, I live in the borough right next to Hillingdon.
Yep.
And I moved into my house in 2019. My local shop, there's been 3 stabbings, 1 murder since then.
Wow.
My friend was murdered last year up on the high street. Girl I know was murdered in Southall Park. The government are failing us. I'm so scared for my children. I have a 22-year-old son, and I'm begging him to move out of the country.
Oh my goodness, I feel for you.
What are these politicians doing to us? They're putting our children in so much danger. They're putting everyone in danger. And they're not doing nothing to help us.
And that's the thing a lot of us feel. How many is too many?
They're pushing us to do something that we don't want to do. We are peaceful people. British people never vote against their government.
Yeah.
They're going to push us to it because they're not listening to us. Our friends, our family are dying. I had a cousin murdered 20 years ago who was stabbed to death, and nothing's changed, Julia.
I'm so sorry, Sarah. I'm sure I speak for everyone listening and watching right now. My heart goes out to you, and that's the reality.
I don't leave the house without a man.
You're that worried.
Well, everyone I know is getting stabbed. They're getting raped in parks. This is where I live, not where the politicians live.
Do you think that's part of the issue, that they don't live in the real world?
Keir Starmer, if you're listening to this, please do something. I'm petrified. I've never broken the law in my life. I've been a law-abiding citizen. I've been a civil servant. Please do something. It's us that are dying on the streets. You talk about being racist. We're not racist. My sister's mixed race. Yeah. I was a white child brought up in a mixed race family. Yeah. Nothing to do with race.
Exactly.
To do with our safety.
Sarah, I mean, 100%. We agree with you every single word, and I'm so sorry. I'm sending you a big hug over the ether, and I'm sure everyone else is.
That's a woman at her wit's end right there. And that is how you end up radicalizing people. That is how you end up radicalizing people to do things that they would never otherwise do. You think that woman wanted to call in to a TV show and cry on national television about the fact that she's afraid to leave the house without a man because she's worried about being raped in a park by some Afghani migrant? Or that she wants to send her 22-year-old children out of the country? Because she knows damn well that if her son goes out and, defends somebody being attacked, that he's going to be the one who finds himself at the Old Bailey facing charges. She knows that. That is how you radicalize a population, by not addressing the needs of the people, of the actual people whose home this is, not who want to make this a home, not who look at us from a distance and say, that's where I want to be, from the citizens who have nowhere else to go. And you're doing it. Why? Because you're afraid of what? You're afraid of people that would see the downfall of your nation? Dire warning, New York. It's coming. And I don't really give a shit if you call me racist or not, because it's not true. Not all cultures are the same. But Kevin, British people do that too. Yeah, but they're not protected by their government. I feel so bad for that woman. That woman is an actual refugee, not the Afghan migrant who decided to stab 3 of her neighbors. If that woman wanted to flee the country and move to America, she would actually have refugee status based on what's happening in her nation. But no. We've got to make sure we take in every Syrian on planet Earth. And then we're shocked when these sorts of things happen. I showed you guys a couple of weeks ago. There was an attempted honor killing in Seattle. An honor killing. Let me ask you. Most of my audience is older than I am. Did you ever remember hearing about those things growing up? Honor killings? Or was that, is this a new occurrence? Is this a new occurrence in the Western world? I don't know. Maybe I'm a bad person. So be it. Turns out I like where I live, and I'd like to keep it the way it is. I'd like to keep it the way it is. Wild stuff, and I hope Keir Starmer hears that. I'm sure he won't, because, you know, who really cares about your citizens when you can just import new ones? Guys, we'll be back in 1 second with all of the updates on the government shutdown. John Thune just went ham on the Senate floor on Senate Democrats. And then we'll get to the auto pen scandal in just a second. Before we do that, here's Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 6-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed, because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. So John Thune just got off the Senate floor, absolutely going nuclear on Democrats who were about to let Americans go hungry in order to own Trump. Here was Leader Thune.
Let me just point out, if I might, that we are 29 days into a Democrat shutdown. And the senator from New Mexico was absolutely right. SNAP recipients shouldn't go without food. People should be getting paid in this country. And we've tried to do that 13 times. And you voted no 13 times. This isn't a political game. These are real people's lives that we're talking about. And you all have just figured out, 29 days in, that, there might be some consequences. There are people who run out of money. Yeah, we're 29 days in. And they've done their best to make sure that a lot of these programs are funded. But at some point, the government runs out of money. 13 times people over here voted to fund SNAP. 13 times they voted to fund WIC. My aching back. Finally realized this thing has consequences. Well, you know what? What Democrats are doing here. They're making plans to keep the shutdown going. And they realize, all of a sudden, 29 days in, that this is a real consequence, real life pain for American families, something that results from their shutdown. So are they making plans to end the shutdown and reopen the government? Nope. They're going to propose a bill to fund food stamps during their shutdown. Mr. President, this request is a transparent admission that Democrats want to keep the shutdown for what? Another month? Longer? This bill is a cynical attempt to provide political cover for Democrats to allow them to carry on their government shutdown for the long term. Now, I'll point out, we did 13 short-term clean CRs when they had the majority and President Biden was in the White House. 13. They've now voted 13 times against a clean CR. I have no idea where you're coming from. The Democrat leader said that President Trump could end this with a stroke of his pen. And he's right. We passed that bill with a stroke of his pen, he'll sign it into law. And the government opens up. And SNAP beneficiaries, SNAP recipients get food assistance. But you know what else? TSA workers get paid. Air traffic controllers get paid. Border Patrol agents get paid. Troops get paid. These people here get paid who are working without pay. You want to extend that and keep that going? Give me a break. So the people who aren't going to get the benefit of what they're trying to do today, Mr. President, are all the other programs that are affected. Head Start, grants to law enforcement to fight fentanyl and hire more cops to protect communities. Rural development programs that are important in my state, Senator from New Mexico State, I assume as well, that support housing, utilities, infrastructure projects in rural communities. Small business loans, certain direct loan and emergency programs that farmers rely on.
Honestly, and he goes on and he goes on and he goes on. And he's not wrong. These things are starting to have real-world consequences for real-world people. But Democrats expect us to take them seriously. They expect us to take them seriously. When this is who they're putting out in front of the world to make their arguments.
Of the Empowerment Control Act of 1974. The contingency funding that we set aside for SNAP is not optional spending. It is required by the law. We appropriated that money for this purpose. The White House must spend it, and what they are doing right now, blocking these funds from going out, is illegal. As a matter of fact, on October 1st, they took $750 million from this fund to deal with paying benefits in Puerto Rico and providing administrative costs to other states. So they acknowledge that this fund can be used in order to deal with SNAP benefits. There is nothing stopping the Trump administration from making sure that every single one of the 42 million Americans, 16 million children, 8 million seniors, 4 million people with disabilities, 1.2 million veterans receive nutrition assistance in November.
By the way, if you guys take all those numbers she just added up, they don't come to 42 million. You know why they don't come to 42 million? Because some of the people getting SNAP benefits are illegal immigrants. Look, you don't got to take my word for it. Ask this guy, this Iraqi immigrant who says that if he doesn't get his SNAP benefits, he has to leave America.
Without the government support, I cannot stay maybe a month or 2 months.
Pima County Chairman Rex Scott told News for Tucson he's deeply concerned about the impact on local refugees and said,
later, bro. All right, I'm sorry. Like, go home. I don't know what to... If I don't get taxpayer-funded assistance from a country that I'm not a citizen of, I'm going to have to go back to the country that I'm actually from. All right, bro. Later. See you later. Whatever. But people are starting to notice. People are starting to notice that Democrats, for like, I think they're up to 16 times they voted to keep the government closed. People are starting to notice, so much so that now the finance bros are starting to get involved. Why? Because as I described yesterday, if people do not get their SNAP benefits, there is going to be a serious problem in this country when it comes to grocery stores and the big box stores or whatever, Publix or Costco, BJ's, wherever it is you may go. There's going to be an impact to farmers because they are going to have a backlog of meat, a backlog of milk, because people aren't purchasing it. Now, I'm not saying it's a great idea that we've set up a system that farmers rely on government assistance given to people in order to buy their products. What I'm saying is that that's the system we currently live in. And even the finance bros, because now they're starting to notice that their pocketbook is going to be hit by this, are hitting the Democrats on it.
Are you ready to vote with the Republicans to reopen the government at this point as a reasonable Democrat? Maybe others would follow you.
You know, I'm not there yet because we have had literally, Joe, no discussion whatsoever about how we're going to deal with these spikes.
This is the right way to do it,
premiums.
Senator? By people not getting paychecks at the TSA? This is extortion. You think this is the right way to do it? In your conscience, you think it's the right way to do it? I never thought I'd say that, Andrew, that it as a human being, he always says that. As a human being, you think this is the right thing to do? That's your line.
Well, that's why Senator Hawley and have our bill to make sure that folks get the nutrition that they absolutely need is why the president is paying the troops.
Yeah, that's why Josh Hawley is doing it, not Democratic senators. Because Josh Hawley has put forth a standalone bill that would allow people to get their SNAP benefits so that you don't have hungry children in America. Now, with that being said, there's a shitload of people on these sorts of programs, WIC, SNAP, who do not deserve to be on there. And if you are one of the people watching this who are on these programs and you need it, you know I'm not talking to you. Yeah, I'll never forget this. When I was younger, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, whatever, there was a woman that used to come into the supermarket that I worked at. She used to come in on the 2nd of every single month, and she would spend her entire EBT card on crab legs. We all remember it. Everybody we worked with remembered this. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm barely struggling to get by with a job, and this chick is coming in and buying crab legs with government assistance. That woman does not need that. And maybe that's why some of these programs are in as dire shape as they are. Because of people exploiting the system and illegal immigrants. Maybe SNAP recipients could get a little bit more if we stopped having people exploit the system and giving out SNAP benefits to the totality of the world's poor. Maybe we could get a little bit more of that. But no. We can't do that. We've got to make sure that we fund every illegal immigrant on planet Earth so they continue to vote Democrat. Not anymore, though. Not anymore, my friends. Guys, we'll be back in 1 second with the Joe Biden auto pen and some 2028 talk. Also, Michael Knowles calmly and casually destroys Senator Cory Booker. Really good stuff. Before we get to that, Old Glory Bang.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Guys, head on over to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com. For a while, I've been saying, you should lock in interest rates before Jerome Powell either lowers the rates or loses his job. But he lowered rates today, so don't miss out, guys. Head on over to oldglorybank.com and support the people who support your values by going to oldglorybank.com. So the auto pen, President Auto Pen. Well, James Comer's picking a fight, and I think it's a fight he's going to win, saying that many of the pardons and executive orders that Joe Biden signed with the auto pen are null and void because Joe Biden didn't have the slightest idea what the hell was going on in that White House. Here's James Comer.
Or executive orders that were signed with the auto pen.
Are you of the view that, for instance, Biden's pardon of his brother, Jim, or let's say Anthony Fauci, are you of the view that those pardons are null and void, given what you know?
I am. Absolutely, 100%. If anyone doubts whether or not there was a cover-up, they need to watch every minute of the testimony that we got, all of the hours and hours of depositions from these staffers, where you had people like Ian Sams, who was his spokesperson, who would come out every day and give press conferences blasting me or blasting Robert Hur or Jim Jordan or someone. Under oath, when we asked him, how many times did you meet directly with Joe Biden? He said 2 times in 2 years. Neera Tanden, his executive secretary, 2 times in 2 years. Neera Tanden, then, who's his executive secretary, who that position is one of the closest to the president, whether it's Obama, Trump, George Bush, Obama. She admitted that she would go weeks without having any interaction with Joe Biden. They clearly shielded him, not only from the American people, but from their inner staff. If he was an active participant, there would be notes. There would be notes. The National Archives has no record of notes. There are no emails. It almost looks like they went back and changed their story from he approved it verbally and orally to, we had memos and things like that. There were so many inconsistencies. And I think that the Department of Justice can bring all these people in, especially the 3 staffers and the doctor who pled the Fifth Amendment, and press them for more information, because at the end of the day, the American people know that Joe Biden was in a mental state of decline. He hasn't given a TV interview since he left office. The statement blasting my report today wasn't from him. It was from an unnamed staffer. So
he's given speeches. But
I think that's the issue here, was the cognitive decline, the cover-up, and the unauthorized use of the auto pen.
But there has to be accountability. I know, you're trying to get the D.C. Board of Medicine to investigate that Dr. Kevin O'Connor. But is that going to do it? I mean, we've got 15 seconds. Anyone else should be investigated here?
No, I want Pam Bondi. We have handed her this investigation on a platter. We've done the heavy lifting with all the hours of depositions. We've traced the emails. We've proven there's no evidence that Joe Biden was involved in the decision-making process. She needs to bring people in, threaten accountability, threaten prosecution, get the truth from these people, and hold them accountable. We had a president of the United States who wasn't fit to serve. They tried to run him for a second term, and then they abused the auto pen during the lame duck period.
All right, Congressman, a massive scandal there.
Look, I hope James Comer gets the fight that he's looking for. I hope he does. Let's get these people in and find out exactly all of what had happened. Now, I want to be clear, they've called people in for depositions already, and they've been behind closed doors. And I don't particularly like that. But I hope when they get back into session, we start getting some serious answers on this. It is one thing. At the end of President Trump's first term, he signed 1,600 pardons. but he knew what was happening in the room. He didn't delegate it out to some staffer who just willy-nilly started picking people. And Scott Jennings on CNN makes the exact same, but it is amazing. It is amazing when you push back on Democrats and ask them like basic level questions, just basic questions, their arguments fall apart almost instantly.
Tradition of auto pens has existed in every presidential administration across parties. I had an auto pen when I worked at ICE.
I'm sorry, Elliot Williams.
Elliot Williams literally had an auto pen.
You were important enough to have an auto pen. I'm so impressed.
I am important, Casey. But no, and so it's a common practice.
Did you allow people to use the name Elliot Williams without your knowledge of the document or what was on the page?
I don't recall. So
I'm asking you, if you were a government official and you had an auto pen, which you did, would you let some staffer sign things in your name without reading?
Yeah, here's the question. Was my authority delegated to that person? And I think they do have the authority to do so. Laws and and I'm serious, Scott, laws and regulations.
The authority to delegate pardons and executive orders, the President of the United States can say, you unelected staffer can go sign my name on a document that I've never seen for a decision that I've never made?
Quite often, the United States Code delegates authority. So through the President of the United States, through the Attorney General, whatever else, X person can carry out a function. And certainly that could be the case. Now, Donald Trump, for instance, in his first term, pardoned like 1,600 people. And I have a hard time believing that he was aware of every single person that he was pardoning. One could make a challenge. Every president does this. Now, if it's a question about Biden's fitness for office, did he know what he was? Of course, raise that question. But I just, one, given how vast the pardon power is, and two, given how comprehensive the use of auto pens are across administrations, I have a hard time seeing a legal challenge.
Nobody can be delegated the pardon power.
Yes.
It is a constitutional power.
Yes.
And I don't really think you can delegate the executive order power either, because the executive has to make the order.
So, Scott, the president...
I mean, he's not really... He's not asking him to describe cold fusion or what a black hole is. He's asking him pretty basic questions, and he can't answer it. I love it. I could watch it over and over and over again. Just watching these people tread water when you ask them basic stuff. I could watch it all day. We got a couple more things that we got to get to before we wrap up. We got like 4 minutes left. Before we do that, guys, head on over to lfatv.us. It's lfatv.us. That's your home base, your mothership, your landing pad for all things LFA TV related. Check out the LFA TV store. And while you guys are there, consider becoming a monthly donor over at lfatv.us. It's lfatv.us. So JD Vance got the 2028 question. I'll let him answer.
How do you feel about that? And have you talked to the Secretary Rubio about it?
I've joked with the secretary about it. So the president first raised this with me probably 6 months or so ago.
Right.
During just, one of our private lunches that we try to get lunch every couple of weeks just to catch up on what's going on and talk about things. He mentioned it probably 6 months or so ago. And I mentioned to the secretary in jest, but it feels so premature because we're still so early. And what I always say to people is, if we take care of business, the politics will take care of itself. And we're 9 months into this thing. We've done a lot of good. There's a lot more work to do because, look, the thing that I most worry about is that Biden left us a terrible affordability crisis. We've got to make life more affordable for American citizens. Again, we've chipped away at that problem, but there's a lot more work to do there. So my attitude is, the American people elected me to be vice president. I'm going to work as hard as I can to make the president successful over the next 3 years and 3 months. And if we get to a point where something else is in the offer, let's handle it then. But let's at least get through the next couple of years and do good work for the American people before we talk about politics.
The president doesn't mention who will be running for president and who vice president. Now, everyone assumes it would be you, but Marco Rubio is 13 years older. He's run for president before. Would there be any tension there?
First of all, no, there's not going to be any tension. Marco is my best friend in the administration. He and I work a lot together.
Right.
And we really do, I think, a lot of the good work that we've been able to do as an administration is because we're all able to work together. And again, this is why I say worrying too much about the politics actually, I think, makes you worse at the job that you have. I never want to wake up. And so far, I've never woken up and thought to myself, how do I make myself president of the United States? What I wake up and think to myself is, how do I do a good job as vice president? And I think Marco Rubio asks himself, how do I do a good job as Secretary of State? And that should be the question that each of us keeps on asking ourselves.
So he's already getting the 2028 questions. I would say that I think Vance Rubio would be okay. I'm more of a Vance Zeldin guy in 2028, but that shouldn't come as a shock to anyone. Maybe it's selfish. What the hell? What are you going to do? You know what else won't come as a shock to anybody? That Cory Booker, Senator Spartacus from New Jersey, is a giant coward. And before we wrap up today, we are going to let Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire show you exactly why.
I think Senator Booker made a good point just a moment ago when he said we have to self-examine. We have to be introspective. And, I can't help but think of a line today. Jay Jones has the vision, commitment, and integrity to keep families safe and make sure every Virginian gets a fair shake in the justice system. I'll be working every day to ensure Jay wins this race. That's the endorsement of Senator Booker for a man who would seek to be the Attorney General of Virginia. This is a man who, if people have not been reading the news, has called for a Republican to be murdered, for his children to be murdered, for the children to die in their mother's arms in order to persuade the Republican to change his policy views, and a man who says that he would urinate on the graves of multiple Republicans. Senator Booker, in this spirit of introspection, is standing by this endorsement. So I suppose I would invite, perhaps I should have looked, because Senator Booker has left the room, and I think I can guess why. Senator Booker, I think, should practice what he preaches, because this is the kind of moment. You cannot have a professor who wants to teach students and is going to desire to kill half of them. You certainly cannot have law enforcement officers who would engage in this kind of violent rhetoric against half of their constituents. So long as anyone stands by an endorsement such as that, their words are meaningless. They are shedding crocodile tears on the topic of political violence.
And look, maybe this is why sometimes it's better to just state the facts calmly and coldly and keep your composure and not freak out as someone like myself tends to do. Guys, it's 4 o'clock. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. Once again, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. I'll be making a big announcement for everybody in the tri-state area tomorrow on the show, so make sure you keep it locked in here for all of that. Hannah Faulkner coming up next right here on this network. Until tomorrow, everybody, stay loud.